Welcome back to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. It's going to be a fun show today. I got a full panel. I got my boy John. I got special guest Pete from Nets Fans You Know. I got Breezy. I got Big Fan Breezy in the house. It's going to be a live debate today. This is going to be a good show. The Nets lost to Washington through a dud in the fourth quarter after playing really well in the third quarter. Came out flat in the third quarter. Lost to Washington. Chicago came back and won yesterday, so the Nets lost a game in the play-in. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. We'll discuss that later. But guys, go around the panel. Pete, Breezy, you guys introduce yourself. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Go ahead, Breezy.
Well, I mean, if not a special guest on this show on the chat. Yeah, my handle is Big Fan Breezy on YouTube and Twitter. That's usually where I post content. Y'all can find me there.
You can find me at NetFans, on Twitter and YouTube. And I'm actually going to be dropping an episode of my podcast, NetFans, probably an hour after this ends. So check that out.
And go back to his channel and check out his last show, which I was on. It was really good. Pete, I'll start with you. A couple of highlights yesterday. I thought Zaire played really well. That's about it, really. And then the complete dud in the fourth quarter. What were your thoughts on the game so far? What were your thoughts on the game, the fourth quarter collapse, kind of? And give me your thoughts on Killian Hayes. We've got our first little bit of taste of Killian Hayes. What are your thoughts on him as well?
At this point, Gary, I'll be very honest. I'm tuned out. I'm tuned out with all this winning. That I just catch the game. I actively watch the games, but I'm probably doing something. I'm not really focused in. But I was watching a little bit of Killian Hayes from the little bit of time he's had. What's it been, 2 games or something like that? I think the basketball IQ is there. You know what I mean? I just think it's gonna be. I don't know. He needs time to kind of get with these teammates because. Everything's, I don't know. It's so tough bringing in a young player into a situation like this because he's fighting for his life. There's already a system already established, but I don't know. It's I like to see the basketball IQ, and that's about it. We got to give him more time. It's really tough.
It seems like the same player in Detroit. I'm going to give it more time. I mean, we got nothing else to root for this year. But let's see what he's got. It's 26 games, but it looks like not much has changed from his days in Detroit. Let me bring it to Breezy. You guys smash the like button. Breezy makes a good point. Tap the like button. Breezy, let me bring this to you. Yesterday's game, Washington, 2 bottom dwelling teams. And then that's basically collapsed in the fourth quarter. What do you make of that?
I hone in on the fact that if you're going to build a championship roster, we're going to need a shot creator. Everybody, knows what Cam Thomas could do, but he won't be enough. I think all Nets fans can agree to that. And also agree to when you build it in championship roster, it's more than one shot creator on the team. In the starting lineup, for that matter. So it shows that besides Cam Thomas, we need another shot creator. I don't know if that's Derek Queen. I don't know I don't know who, but I do know whoever we draft, we should prioritize a player that knows how to shot create, not necessarily a quote unquote role player. I mean, if it is a role, his role is to shot create. We need more than Cam Thomas, regardless of how good our defense is, just for availability. And just they can't double. They double one shot creator in Cam Thomas. We got another shot creator that make the defense pay for that. We're gonna make the defense pay for double teaming Cam Thomas, and we do that by drafting another shot creator. So that's what I've seen.
Let me ask you this: could that guy be D'Lo? Could D'Lo be that other shot creator?
Well, he's not from the draft, but he definitely could be because he. Well,
I'm just like for the rest of the season, could he be that second shot creator?
Oh yeah, easily. I seen Cam Thomas play next to Ed Sumner. If Ed Sumner could do it, D'Lo could do it. You know what I'm saying? Not no shade. You know what I mean? Not no shade to Ed Sumner, but I'm just saying.
First, Kevin Durant's taking shots at Edmund Sumner. Now Breezy's taking shots at him.
What Ed Sumner say about? I mean, what KD say about Ed Sumner?
No, he was just saying I'm on the court. I'm on the court.
Oh yeah. No. I'm just saying Cam Thomas. He could score next to anybody. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's consistent at being able to score next to any teammate. And I'm saying D'Lo, the way he plays the game, it's going to be hard to double Cam Thomas. D'Lo like to hit the three from the top of the key. I mean, not the top of the key, like top of the, in the middle of the basketball court. He likes to hit the three from there. He likes to hit the elbow three. I mean, how you double Cam Thomas if D'Lo is right there and all by the elbow? Like, it's just tough. It makes us better than fans might want us to be because we thinking about the future, not necessarily this season or even maybe the next season. But to answer your question, those 12 points showed me in the fourth quarter that we need to focus on the shot creator. And to answer your question, yeah, D'Lo can do some of that, but I still want to prioritize the shot creator in this next 2025 draft.
We'll get back to who that might be a little bit later on. John, this was the fourth quarter was hard to take. It was really not good at all. It was putrid. What were your thoughts on the fourth quarter in particular, and basically how the game went, where they got shut down by the worst team in the league record-wise?
First off, Gary, Pete, Breezy, always great to talk fun basketball with you. You just talk about the fourth quarter, Gary. The whole game was pretty damn atrocious, we're being honest. I mean, both teams took over 150 shots. I think they made a combined 60 from field goals. So it's like it was a really horrible game. It could be a definition of a dogfight. You had a lot of bad shots. You had some threes. You had some bad missed threes, a lot of bad field goals. You had some fights on the bench, some fights near the hoop. The only thing that was missing last night was a bottle of booze, just given how bad it was on both sides of the aisle. But I think the Claxton flagrant, that kind of really slowed the game down for a good 3 to 4 minutes. And the Nets just seemed to have run out of juice at that point. So it felt like if that didn't happen, the momentum could have been a very close game. But it seemed like the Nets were kind of spent after that. But I think to Breezy's point is, like, you do need a shot creator. And let's be honest here. As good as this junkyard squad has been on the defensive identity Jordy has created overall this season offensively, this team is nowhere where they could or should be. And that's why this draft is so essential. We really need to address the point guard situation, our forward situation, eventually the center situation. We're going by off of defensive grit on a night-to-night basis. But even last night, against arguably the worst team in the NBA, this team without offense can lose. So this team is mirage in many instances. So, yeah, I just think for this team, this draft is very essential for us. We do need to upgrade a lot of things around this team. As much as defensive grit we got, that can't be the only thing we hang our identity on if we ever want to be a serious team.
I want to ask you this question. There's a saying, if you live in Alabama, you're my Mississippi. And basically what it means is no matter how bad I am, you're worse. I kind of felt that way about Washington. It's like, okay, our roster is trash, but at least we're not Washington. Washington's beat us twice in 2 weeks or whatever it's been. Are we worse than Washington? Is our roster worse than Washington? Are we further behind the 8 ball than Washington? Can I no longer say that the Washington Wizards, you're my Mississippi?
It's very interesting. I would say this: they are still a very bad team. They're a young team, but you know what? They have young pieces. They got Alex Sarr, they got Bilal Coulibaly. They made the move for Jordan Poole. It seems like he could be a part of the future or not. They have young pieces. Our thing is, it's a conglomeration of guys that would normally be third-string players or really back-end pieces. Now they get a main role on a team led by a coach who has a point to prove this season. So some of them have outperformed expectations, mostly because they want to stay in the NBA. It's not really because they care about the future or the draft picks we got. It's because these guys want to ensure their futures. Now that has led to some over-expectation wins. But at the end of the day, will this core be here next 3 to 4 years? Absolutely not. That's why I feel like making the deal that we did, giving away those Rockets, giving away those Suns picks and the Mavs picks to get your own pick, you would make that as very valuable and important. But it seems like that's kind of gone to the wayside. And now it's like, let's build whatever this is until we have to address it this summer, depending on who we draft, which I think is a very backwards strategy. And I think what this front office has shown me is that they want to play the middle for as long as they can, but they don't want to go one way or the other until they feel like they have to. So I feel like if you were going to bottom out, just bottom out. But now we're in the middle, and we're hoping that our economic equity that Sean and Joe have accumulated will be enough to get a top pick, which I don't see.
We're in the middle with the worst roster in the NBA. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is the roster is so bad. Now, let me ask Breezy this question. Breezy, we're a game and a half behind Chicago for the last playing spot. Are the Brooklyn Nets going to make the play-in?
I don't think they should, man. I think they should just bottom out because we not a healthy team. You know what I mean? But the way Jordy and the coach of this team, could they? Yes. I mean, just who's the teams around us and what draft capital do they have? Like, who has their own pick? Because I know Philly, they tanking on purpose. I just seen a report saying Embiid is out for the rest of the season. So they're definitely tanking. And it's just contingent on do the teams around us have their own draft pick? Because if they do, they're gonna tank. These teams are top tier tankers. We just started this tanking thing. They like the top of the tank class. You know, Chicago, they missed though. You know, like y'all know how I feel. I feel like these NBA teams that miss with their high draft picks, the NBA should look, you know what I'm saying, and say, yo, you know what, we're gonna go with the Brooklyn Nets and we're gonna, you know what I mean? I know it don't work that way, but I said that to say if we make the play-in, then we automatically out the lottery. To my knowledge,
we're not out of the lottery. We're still in the lottery, the same way Atlanta was in the lottery last year. If we make the playoffs, if we win the 2 play-in games, then we would be out of the lottery. But if we make the play-in, we're still technically, we would have worse odds and worse chances, but we would still be in the lottery.
Then yeah, man. Then I think we do. If they're gonna do it for Atlanta, not to say it like that, we ain't gotta get the first pick, but at least give us the second or third pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not to say that they giving it to us because you know I don't know that how it really works. It's the lottery, to my knowledge, and I want both, the best of both worlds. I want to be able to compete and see this team because I really think a healthy Brooklyn Nets is a really competitive team, but to ignore the players that we could draft. Yeah, I wouldn't be naive enough to do that, but because I do want some of these players. But the players that we talking about, all of them not a top 3 pick. Some of them are like Sorber. I'm interested in him. He's a center from Georgetown. You know what I'm saying? I think Jordy Fernandez is the point guard whisperer. Regardless of who we draft, it don't have to be Dylan Harper. It'd be great if it was Dylan Harper, but I don't think it has to be Dylan Harper. So I don't think that we need the top 3 pick. It'd be nice if we did. So that's why I don't mind if we make the play-in. But I just don't want to. I don't want to miss the lottery because of the wins. I know that sounds bad, but I don't want to miss the lottery. I do want to get another shot creator.
Let me bring this to Pete. Pete, 2-part question to you. I compared the Nets to Alabama, and at least we're not Mississippi, right? At least we're not Washington. Are we worse than Washington? Is our roster? Are we a worse team, Pete, than the Washington Wizards? Please say that's not true.
Man, if you look at the roster, the talent sucks. And I disagree with Breezy. We absolutely do need one of the top 3 picks. Because if we had Jacque Vaughn as this coach, what would our record be?
It would be the Wizards. It'd be the Wizards.
It would probably be the Wizards. You know what I mean? Like, it's a nice, facade we have going on because we have a good coach who has these guys, really battling. But if we're being honest here, how many guys are going to be on this roster 2 years from now?
That was my next question. That was my follow-up question. So, Cam Thomas, possibly, and I would say probably Noah Clowney. Is there anyone else? We'll just go around the panel. Anyone else you think is on this roster in 2027? Pete, you want to start?
Let John go first. I want to pull up the roster on my laptop.
Wait, hold on. You said you was asking me, or I was waiting for John?
Again, Breezy, you want to hop in? Besides probably Clowney and maybe Cam Thomas, is there anyone else on this roster in that's still on the roster in 2027?
Maybe Zaire Williams, maybe, depending on what role he'll accept. Whether he want to come off the bench, maybe Day'Ron Sharpe. These are all maybes. The short thing, I would say Clowney and Cam Thomas. They got the most upside. Those two.
I would say just Clowney because I don't think Sean Marks likes Cam Thomas. So as long as Sean Marks is here, I don't think Cam Thomas's spot on here is safe. I think Marks is going to look to get him on a team-friendly deal and then trade him because he's on a team-friendly deal. It's kind of my instincts on what he's looking to do with Cam Thomas. He's going to try to go star hunting, I think, and the one piece that we have would be Cam Thomas on a team-friendly deal. He's going to look to move him. But he could be here.
No, I'm with you, but I'm not disagreeing with the Sean Marks and Cam Thomas relationship. I'm saying Cam Thomas is here because of Jordy Fernandez. Because that's what it, in my opinion, what it was. And I think that's why you seeing Cam Thomas try to be instrumental in being in the flow of the offense and not just carrying the offense, seeing if he could be coached that way, and it worked. So I think when it did work, that's the reason why he's here. He's here because Jordi Fernandez wants him here, not because if it was up to Sean Marks, yeah, I would have to agree with that take. But yeah, he's here because of Jordi Fernandez for sure.
I got Watford. How about Watford as a dark horse? Watford's, I think, is only like 26.
Watford's on a 1-year deal, though, right? Watford's on an expiring deal.
You re-sign him this offseason. He's going to get more than a 1-year deal. So I could see him being here in 2 years. But that's like a dark horse candidate. I wanted to put in a different answer than just Clowney and CT.
Appreciate that, Pete. I appreciate you doing the legwork there, coming up with a possible name. He could be here. He's also, like, I guess, the point guard on the team now. I don't really know what position. He's been here 2 years. I don't know what position Trendon Watford plays.
He's a combo. He's like a point guard and a forward. But I would say my best answer would be I think this whole roster is up for evaluation. And like as much as we say Thomas or Clowney, right now in my mind, I look at this roster as being an open canvas, and we still have to figure out a whole lot of things. But I would say that Zaire has definitely proved himself this year. He's been very coachable. Defensively, he's been great. Offensively, he's found that three-point shot this second half. Since he came back from the injury, I think he's been a great reclamation project under Jordy. And if you have to switch and move a lot of these pieces, you still want a defensive identity. And Zaire has been a big part of that said defensive identity. So I think he's going to get a contract. Watford, I'm not too crazy about. Listen, he took a qualifying offer. Let's look context. He took a $3 million qualifying offer because nobody wanted to give him a contract. He missed half the season because of injury. Now he's having a few good moments, but I don't see him as a core piece. Maybe he comes back on a cheap deal. But I think if you draft better players than him, I don't see him as a long-term fit, though. I think Zaire, though, could be a long-term fit. But most of his roster is up for grabs, in my opinion.
I talked to a player. I talked to a player agent, and yesterday, NJ from BK was talking in Spaces the other day. I had two different people tell me Watford might get like one of the exceptions. Like we're talking like a big raise.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? That I think that's about what 15 million, 10 million, something like that.
That's wild.
That's a big raise from the qualifying offer.
Yeah, I don't see that. He missed half the season. I know he's been doing some great dance moves on the court, but you got to see a big body of work, and he's never really shown you that.
You're right.
Yeah.
What you mean? He knew what Ben Simmons wasn't doing, but he was playing point forward, and they were speaking about that the other day. About
Breeze, we got to see who we draft in this draft. We potentially draft 5 people, and if one of them has way better potential than Watford, he could be on this team for a short-term deal, or he could eventually be traded or something like that. That's what I'm trying to say to you on that. I don't see him as a long-term.
I hear what you're saying, but y'all talking about talent, and you know how we need talent. He's a forward that can run point. And
but he's not a point guard of the future, though.
No, absolutely. He's not a point guard, but he's serviceable. He could play, but his back to the basket.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago, everybody was saying this about Draymond. Like, what is Draymond? Like, why is he on the court? I'm not saying Trendon Watford's Draymond. I'm just saying this is the conversation everyone had about Draymond. I remember watching Draymond for years, being like, what position does Draymond Green on the court play? Right? I'm not. I'm saying well,
I was gonna say he's good. This is the issue. He's good at a lot of things, but he's not great at anything.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Very interesting. I like that point. Very interesting.
I want to bring this back to Claxton. Claxton got another technical foul. He's facing a 1-game suspension. If it's not overturned, it's certainly not going to be overturned. It was clearly a technical. He's been doing better. And I got to bring this up because I made a promise to you guys, the listener, that I will share this every game. And whatever it is, I'm going to share it. And again, Nick Claxton, minus 12 in 30 minutes and 50 seconds. And Day'Ron Sharpe in 17 minutes was plus 4. This is not a one-off, John. I point this out every single game, and it doesn't get better. What is Nick Claxton's problem? And, I mean, he's going to get a suspension. He's been better. What value is he adding to this team right now?
It's so tough. Because I also want to acknowledge this too. I'm very happy that Claxton's becoming a father. I think it kind of explains why his gameplay has been much better than it was in the beginning. He must find out about a lot earlier. And I wish him and his wife the best in bringing a kid into this world. That's all fine and dandy. But you also look at just the same things keep coming up with Claxton. Like when he signed this $100 million contract, him and Tom were supposed to be the young leaders of this group. And now we got into the D'Lo and Johnson being leaders. And I feel like with Claxton, he has shown you shot blocking, he has shown you rebounding, he's shown you the defensive stuff, which has been much better lately. The offensive stuff is still has its ebbs and flows. But again, the immaturity factor for me is a huge reason why I think we should look at eventually resetting our whole center position, just because Claxton has shown you that he puts his own attitude above the team. And now you don't have him for OKC. We all knew OKC was going to be a tough game. But now because of what he did in this game and beginning of the season with all those other flagrant fouls, now he has to receive the consequences of his actions. Now this team could get decimated and he's not there to see it. So my whole thing is this. As good as Claxton has played lately, that leadership factor is just something I don't see in him. And if you're paying a guy a lot of money, that is an essential quality when you're building a new core. And I just see Claxton as being a detractor towards what Jordy's trying to build, especially if he's telling these young guys, whoever he drafts, to look up to somebody like Claxton. I just feel if there's a deal out there this summer or eventually a deal to move him, you take it and reset your center position, because I just think we need a better center that offensively can do more and can eventually be a huge piece when we are a playoff team. I just see with Claxton, the immaturity factor as being a constant issue, which is a big issue.
Let me get in on that, because there's one team that we could trade him to. Like, it's the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And I would just take whatever the Lakers offered us. I will give you a fax machine like Kyle Korver. Okay, deal, done. That's fine. Like, whatever you want to give me to get this guy and his $27 million, or next year be $25 million off the books, I think we have to take whatever. Like, I don't even care. Just like the contract, paying him and Cam Johnson a combined $50 million puts you in hell. We could have got rid of Cam Johnson. Marks didn't want to do it. You got to get rid of Claxton. You got to get rid of both. But you got to get rid of Claxton's contract if you can. Pete, Claxton's going to face a one-game suspension. His plus minus, and I know the plus minus isn't the gospel, but his plus minus is far worse, and it's a negative every single game compared to Day'Ron Sharpe's. What is he doing here? What's going on with Nick Claxton? Look, I'm a father. I understand when you first become a father in the months leading up, it's very stressful. You're edgy. I get it. I understand that. But what's going on with Nick Claxton? Like, the beginning of the season was a train wreck for him. He's still not playing well. What's his function here?
You kind of threw a couple things out there, so I'm going to go attacking them one at a time.
Yeah, take them one at a time, Pete.
Yeah, one, plus minus. It's funny, but when you're a starter and you play against other starters, your plus minus might be a little worse than a backup coming in and playing against backups. So listen, you might be right with the plus minus, but what I would check for you, I would go and check his numbers like in the first quarter or second quarter, seeing, like when he comes into the game, who he's playing against, and that'll give you a better picture. And another thing, he's always been immature, right? It's kind of nothing new here. This is who he is, you know what I mean? He probably matures a little bit more as he gets older, but he's a fiery player. Is he immature or is he fiery?
I'm going to come back to that real quick. Like, okay, when you're coming to the league 19, 20 years old, it's understandable. He's supposed to be the veteran now, Pete. He's supposed to be the example. He's the old head in this locker room. He's the vet. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to set the example, and he's acting like a rookie still.
Were you fully matured at 25?
No, but I wasn't being paid $27 million to be a leader in the locker room either, Pete.
Right.
Still, more money, more problems.
Breezy, let me bring you in. Weigh in on Nick Claxton here. Your thoughts on the technicals, the suspension, and his underwhelming play as a whole.
Yeah, I thought he had a surge of playing basketball as a recent, but collectively, yeah, he got to do better. And in maturity, I mean, I'm glad Jordy Fernandez sat him down after he pushed that play in the back. You know what I'm saying? We can't have that permeating through the locker room where we playing dirty. I think our defense is good enough we represent a good brand of basketball by not playing dirty. So Clax got to get on board with that. If he don't get on board with that, I don't think he's going to be with the Brooklyn Nets. I look at Jordi Fernandez as a coach with class. He sat the Claxton down immediately, and I think that's the tone of it. I think he's going to, you know what I mean, weigh down on the fact that he's missing the OKC game because of his antics. You know, you got to be a professional. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, soon you're going to have your own child watching. You know, you watch your father in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to explain this or explain whatever. So, you know, I just think that it's a fixable thing, but it is a stain on his jacket, for lack of better words, for his maturity in the locker room, because he is one of the older players. I mean, he's not the oldest, you know, than Cam Johnson, but I imagine the young guys, you know, go to Clax for advice. You know what I'm saying?
Let me let you respond to Leaf real quick. I'll let you. I don't think he's trying to hurt anybody either. I just think he let his emotions get the best of him. I don't think I don't think he was looking to start a fight. I don't think he was looking to hurt anybody. But it's an immature thing to do. Go ahead, Breezy, land the plane.
Yeah, and to Leaf's point, maybe, you know, when you break down the whole play, the dude pushed CJ, so it made it look nastier than it actually was on Claxton part, because CJ got pushed down, it took the legs from Champagnie. It wasn't like Claxton took it that way. It was just the whole situation. So yeah, I don't want to exaggerate it, but you're hurting the team not being there for OKC. Not that we was quote unquote want to win or fans want us to win, but the fact that you're not going to be there, you know, it hurts the fans at least, you know what I'm saying, and the team. I imagine they wanted you to be there to compete. So you got to know that too. You're not trying to get suspended because of your antics on the court, right or wrong. You know, just trying to take a more mature, professional approach about it.
I wanna address this, and I think this is why I think it's crucial to trade Claxton in the offseason this week if we can. I want you guys' take on this. Sean Marks doesn't like bigs. He hates bigs. Like, that's obvious. There are a bunch of bigs in this draft that I like that we could get outside of the top three. Queen's obviously my favorite. Asa Noel, John, Kamen Maluak. Do I have that right?
Come on, now you are. There you go.
Thomas Sorber, who's out for the season now, unfortunately. But there's a bunch of bigs I like in this draft. Mm-hmm. I don't want the Nets to pass on the bigs because Sean Marks doesn't like bigs, and we already have Claxton on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to pass on a big because we have our big of the future in Claxton. Do you foresee that happening at all, John?
Yeah, listen, I think what Claxton has done recently that we should definitely acknowledge that defensively he's starting to come back to what he used to do. And if you're looking at what the Lakers need right now, they need that defensive center of the future. And Claxton's showing you shot blocking, rebounding. When he is focused, it's hard to stop somebody like that. So I think we have a window this summer to explore that if the Lakers are interesting. And I also think this draft, there are some good centers. Thomas Sorber, unfortunately, he got hurt, but he's a really solid rebounder. He was 50th in his class in rebounding, and he had a 53 field goal percentage. So it was definitely a lot to like there. And both him and Boogie are now dealing with injuries. They could fall near that 20th draft bracket, and we have late picks. So I think for us, we have opportunity here to get some picks that eventually that might not have been our ballpark range. So I definitely would explore getting a center with one of our picks in this draft. And with Claxton, the thing is this, whether it was intentional or not, this is my problem. If we actually do build a legit team, he's our center in the future. If he gets a flagrant or something in a playoff situation when everything matters, that to me is like what I foresee as being a huge problem. Like, you want to put all that work into a full season, and he's one of your main guys, and he's doing that stuff when it matters most. And that's why I feel like looking towards the future, getting a center that can do a lot more than Claxton can is smart business for us. And if we can find a team that utilizes his defense better, I think it's a win-win for both sides. We're not hating on Claxton. It's just we clearly acknowledge that our center position is not as strong as it could be. And Sean Marks needs to overcome this phobia of not drafting actual bigs, because you look at where the league is going, bigs are needed now to win titles. Whether they contribute a lot or don't, they are a needed factor, and we don't have that to compete against the best bigs. So this is definitely a philosophical issue that needs to be addressed this summer for sure, Gary.
I want to bring this to Pete. Like, Pete, same kind of question to you. Look, it does seem like the kind of more traditional, conventional big is kind of making its way back into the NBA. Sean Marks hates bigs. But like this team, there's nothing like this is a high pick and roll league. The Nets barely, and I understand they don't have the talent for it, but the Nets play a penetrate and pitch offense, right? Like there's very little high pick and roll in the Nets offense. Like the Nets just don't do things that the rest of the league are doing. I have a fear that Marks, who doesn't like bigs to start with, is going to pass on one of these bigs that I like because we already have our big in Claxton. Could you see that happening if Claxton's not traded?
Not at all. He's gonna take the. Cool. First of all, I don't think he hates bigs. I just think the type of center that he likes happens to be athletic, and unless you're gonna be like a Wembley, most of the athletic centers happen to be, a couple inches shorter, right? That's his mold. That's his game plan. But they're gonna take the best talent available, and if they don't, then he should be shot on the spot.
Like here's why I say he hates bigs. We have 15 guards
in Minecraft.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. We got 15 guards. Like we have no bigs. Why didn't he bring up Drew Timme on from the G League? Like why did he bring up another guard instead of a big when we don't have bigs? Right? Like I just like.
I can tell you.
Go ahead.
Because he's busted his butt the entire season, and they wanted to reward him. He's been wanted like one of the main players for Long Island. I have I hate like promoting like stuff, but I'm putting out an episode about the Long Island Nets, so this is kind of fresh in my mind. He was kind of like, I don't want to say the heart and soul of the team, but he was definitely like one of those main glue guys. So they kind of want to reward him. They want to get a look at him, and all that good jazz.
Okay, I get it. I just think like it would be more valuable to get a look at Drew Timme. That's just my opinion. I think I don't know if Drew Timme can play or not, but that's why I want to take a look at him. Like that's what I'm saying. Breezy, same question to you. Is Nick Claxton ultimately going to get a say here? Is he going to keep one of the bigs I named, off this roster because we already have our big of the future in Claxton? You guys give Mark way more credit than I do, by the way. I think it's
it's hard to say, man, because Clax has shown loyalty. He could have left when everybody else left, like, yo, I'm out of here. So I think they built a relationship. But there are bigs that are interested in the draft with Queen, with Sorber. Well, that's two off that I can remember offhand. So I don't think anything's a sure thing right now. I do think the training camp, the what happens in the off season, the preseason, all of that's going to count. You know what I'm saying? This question is going to be easier to answer when it comes down to the trade deadline next season. Around that time, they're going to be figuring out if we're going to keep Clax, because by then the freshmen, they would have got some. I mean, not freshmen, the rookies, they would have got some playing time. And I think if he's going to be here, it's contingent on what happens with who we draft. I don't think Clax got to worry until we actually see these players' potential and upside. But for what it's worth, the coaching staff look like they could play or develop anybody. They look like whoever we draft, they're going to be a good player. So I don't know how safe Clax's spot as a center is on this team. But based on recent games, I think they are going to ask Clax to be more on the offensive end, because if he's scoring 15, 16 points, it changes who we are. Clax not being able to score on his own changes who we are. So I'll ask you, Gary, do you think we went back to the basket center to be inside of our offense? You see Jordi Fernandez wanting to play from inside out maybe, or maybe outside in?
I would love to have a back to the basket center who can like look. Nick Claxton looks so lost offensively. Like defensively, he's really aware. Offensively, it looks like many times it's his first day playing basketball, right? So if I could get a back to the basket center any center who can put the ball in the basket from more than 5 feet away, to me would be such an upgrade from Nick Claxton right now. Anyone that doesn't dribble into the help, like anyone who looks like competent offensively, would be like a major upgrade to me. And I don't hate Nick Claxton. I'm a cheerleader for Nick Claxton. I have to be real. Like he's not good. Like he hasn't gotten better.
Well, wait, Gary, let me sit for 1 second. Let's keep in mind that this offense is not made for Nick Claxton, right? The offense.
That's my point about the Lakers. He would be a better fit on the Lakers.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You have like a Sabonis in Sacramento. that's the type of center that we should be looking for. I don't want to say like Jokic, obviously, of course, everyone should be looking for a guy like him, but just as like style wise, right? Those are the guys that fit into Jordy's offense perfectly. And that's what Mark should be looking for.
Derek Queen, he kind of fits that mold a bit there too, and that's why I think he could be potential lottery option. Like, let's say we get the 8th to 10th pick, I would be considering a Derek Queen at that point, or Maliwak. I think Maliwak has the defensive intangibles, whereas I think Queen has the offensive. What matters more though to Jordy, the offense or the defense? Probably defense, but he should go with offense at this point. We need offensive big of the
problem.
future.
It's not a problem. It's a concern with Maliwak, and I'm not against picking him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the rawest of the guys. If you guys want to be good within the next year or two, he's got the furthest way to go to get good. I'm not saying he can't. He's got the highest ceiling. Like, I need to put that in the chat. He does, right? But he's also got the furthest way to go to get to that ceiling. You guys are worried about 2027. We don't own our draft. Like, the Rockets have to swap. If you're looking to get good right away, does Maliwak fit that time frame, or is he more of a long-term project?
You asking me?
Go ahead, Breezy, John, Pete, anyone, jump in.
So you said who you said going to be a long-term project? Who?
Maliwak. Comment. Am I saying it?
Yeah. Come on, Maliwak.
Anybody who played on the Olympics for national team, I think you would want to turn around in that first or second season. You know what I'm saying? Especially if the roster don't have anybody that's dominating in front of them. You know what I mean? Even though, like, for instance, David Robinson and Duncan, they wanted to run that offense, the Twin Towers. So it wasn't like David Robinson was in front of Duncan and he had to fight for minutes. They both could share the floor at the same time. So the question is, who would you want to see share the floor with Clax? Like, who would be the four? We more want, because it sounds like this, Gary. It sounds like we more want Noah Clowney at the 4 than we want Clax at the 5. That's what it sounds like. But is that true?
I mean, yeah. Would you? I would say for sure that's true. I think offensively, on offense with Clowney at the 4 and Queen at the 5, I can get on board with that. Now, yeah, I can get on board with that. With Claxton at the 5, I just don't want Claxton here. It doesn't work here. He doesn't work in the offense. I'm not trying to hate on him. At $27 million, I know it goes down every year, but it's like it's a drag. It's holding us down. That's my problem with Nick. It's not, you know what I'm saying? There's one team that we can trade him to, the Lakers. Like, that's the only place he can go. Let's make that happen. I'm not trying to get rid of Nick Claxton, but I am.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you saying, like, Maliwak is a long-term project. I look at his stats. I mean, the field goal percentage is crazy, 70%. So he seems to be a very efficient guy. He picks his spots up pretty well. And that's kind of what Claxton's done most of his career. Like, even though he has a very bad offensive game, he picks and chooses when he wants to score at the basket. And that was because he had 3 superstars feed him a lot of time. So with Maliwak, if you get the right star prospect or star talent, could that make Maliwak's game like eventually just go like that? Maybe. But what Derek Queen has shown you is he doesn't need a point guard to create most of his offense. He does it by himself. So that's the difference, I think, between Maliwak and Queen. Who needs the stars or the point guards to do most of their work for them? I think with Queen, he's shown you he could do it by himself, and I think that's something we really do need. And he's a combo big. Like, we need versatility. If we look at this draft, I'd be fine if all 4 or 5 people we draft have some type of versatility. They could play different positions. They could be Swiss knife players. Like, we need those types of guys. That's what's eventually going to make us a better team. We have such a one-dimensional type team right now, and we really need to get away from that. So if Moss can find a way to finally get players that can do multiple things, I think that's how you do this rebuild a lot more effectively than what you got right now.
But remember, you can only work with the pieces that you have, and we have Sean Marks as the head of the rebuild. So,
thanks, Gary.
You got to compare him to Brad Stevens. You compare him to the Landry Fields in Toronto. He's not that. Like, you guys have to deal with what you have. Like, he's not good at this. Like, it is what it is. Pete, I want to bring this question to you. The 2 guys are expiring deals. I'd be interested in bringing back. We could throw Watford in that too, but I want to bring in Zaire, who played excellent yesterday, and Day'Ron Sharpe. Would you want to bring them back? And if so, what do you think fair market value for both those guys will be this offseason?
I honestly have no idea. And you mentioned something before at the beginning of the episode that you think that the Nets are going to go star hunting, and which, I look at the schedule, and with every win that passes by, I keep on getting the feeling that they've been given like a wink, wink, a nudge, that there's something like behind the scenes already, already going down. I have no idea who it could be. I could be 100% off. This is not anyone talking to me, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me in my mind, that you wouldn't want to continue tanking if you're going to continue getting these wins in the way that they're winning. It's just like, it looks like they're playing for something. It looks like they're a team that wants to be in the playoffs. It looks like they're a team that, one star may be already in, and now they're trying to convince like a second star possibly. That's a wild, that's a total wild scenario. But I'm just trying to think of like, why would you do this? So I don't know what their value would be, because the Nets might have no cap room, or they might have all the cap room in the world, and and they might want to pay them. So I have no idea.
You know what would free up a lot of cap room? Trading Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton would open up a lot of cap room.
Good at this deadline.
So Pete, let me ask you: do you think both of those guys, either of those guys, none of those guys, Zaire and Day'Ron, do you think either of them are back next year?
Man, I really am biased when it comes to Day. I really want Day to come back. I think he comes back for the qualifying offer, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets poached by somebody. Like, I just don't know what teams need a center and the type of center that he is. Like, the Lakers need a center, right? But they don't need like a Day'Ron Sharpe. They need a Nick Claxton. So it's like, who really needs a center like him, and who wants to pay him? He's still young, so that he has that going for him. But I'm not sure.
I'll bring it to Breezy. Same question. Zaire, Day'Ron, would you bring him back? And if so, like, what's a reasonable contract for those two guys?
They have to agree to come off the bench. I think, I think John said this yesterday on the stream. The better teams, they got the better benches, and if they would agree to play at a capacity of 25 to 35 minutes, 35 minutes they max. That's startup minutes, actually. You know what I'm saying? But they will have to agree to a contract. They have to buy into the championship roster thing too, because you could argue that Zaire Williams could start somewhere in the NBA. But I think if he could agree to come back off the bench, Zaire Williams and Day'Ron Sharpe, you want somebody like Day'Ron Sharpe off the bench. You want that. You trust me. If we don't got one of the better shot creators, you want somebody that's gonna give you a second chance at a shot. Day'Ron Sharpe gonna give you an offensive rebound, but I think it should be reasonable. But I don't know how the business of basketball is gonna go. I can't say what they should get, but I do think it'd be nice if they say, "All right, I'm flexible." Pause. Like I want to be able to, build with this as a roster, and not just me, because again, the emphasis to my point is Jordi Fernandez runs a 10-man rotation. So adding Day'Ron Sharpe and Zaire Williams to that, I think that would be good for the Brooklyn Nets for sure. But I don't know if they could figure out the business part of it. I don't know.
I want to address.
One second there. I was going to say, I don't think the issue is them starting or not starting. I think the issue is these guys, are barely kind of hanging on in the NBA. So they're going to take as much money or years, you know what I mean? They'll probably take one of two, either, less money, longer term deal, or vice versa, or, an opportunity that's really going to give them a lot of playing time. But I don't think we should be looking at if they're going to be starting or not. I think it's more of a contract years type of thing.
No, what I'm saying is they have to agree to come off to the bench. Like, they gotta want that. I mean, Day'Ron Sharpe probably figure he a backup center, but Zaire might figure, if I could get paid more being a starter, even if it's a bad team, I'll take it. So hopefully they agree to come off the bench, because I don't think the Nets are gonna give them starter money. And I don't think they want them to start neither. I think they gotta come off the bench.
I want to address Leaf's comments here, right? We already have 60 million plus in cap space. What the hell? Zaire 12, okay. And Day'Ron 9. I think those are reasonable. So let's say combined we're at 21 million for Day'Ron and Zaire, which I think is reasonable. We're re-signing Cam Thomas, right?
That's the plan at the moment.
Okay. For sure. Certainly.
That gets us to 50. We're gonna sign 5 rookies, right? Well, there's the rest of your cap space.
No, we're not gonna sign 5 rookies.
We got 4 in the first round that got guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, we're not using all those picks.
Okay, 100%. 100%. You notice, Pete? Do you know something that we don't know, or you just?
No, it just makes sense that I have 4 rookies on one team. It makes sense to trade into next year's first round with one of your later picks.
I would be all for that. If we could trade, yeah, I would be all for that. I'm just if we got a top 3 pick, for instance, that's another $10 million on the books. I'm not saying we are at this point, but right now, like the cap space that we have, assuming we sign Cam, you guys want to keep Zaire and Day'Ron, the money's kind of an illusion. It's not what you guys think it is. That money's going to go quick. Which let me come to this, John. I'll start with you because you posted this yesterday. Naz Reid expressed that he's opting out. New Jersey kid, local guy. Would you be interested in Naz Reid, and what would be the price on him?
Most definitely, and at the end of the day, I know Minnesota definitely want to reclaim him, but they're also, I think, the second most expensive team in the NBA, and they're a playing team right now. They're a team that has to make a lot of decisions. They have Julius Randle with an opt-out coming up, but given how bad free agents, let's be honest, this free agent this summer is abysmal. It's like the Sahara Desert, so I feel like Randle might pick up that $30 million option. At that point, do they have enough to re-sign somebody like Naz? Because Reid, I mean, he's shown you he could do a variety of roles on the team. He could start, backup. Hell, he's a 6th man given his height. Like, he's a very valuable commodity from a cultural standpoint, competitive, and could be a championship piece. So if the Nets, like Pete said something interesting, he says that there might be something between the lines here. This organization wants his team in the middle. Why? Because maybe we don't want to tank. Maybe there was no tanking at all. Maybe we're just waiting until there's a big fish out there, and who are the pieces going to be around that big fish? Naz Reid could definitely be one of those guys. He's an instant upgrade over who we currently have, and he does a variety of roles. So if we change course this summer, I could see us making a play for Naz because we have the most cap space to do it. But like you said, Gary, it's kind of like a mirage, the cap space. If we have to re-sign Zaire, Day'Ron, and Thomas and these rookies, that's it. That's why I feel like Day'Ron, his future is a lot more fluid right now. I think if we draft a center in this, I think they let Day'Ron go. As good as he's shown you could be rebounding, he is horrible at dribbling. His offensive game is very limited. And with Claxton, we already know he's limited. So we need to fix that eventually. And I really do like Zaire. I feel like Zaire and Naz Reid on this team, given the defensive attributes they bring, would make our defensive identity that much stronger. So I could see us make a play for Naz if Timberwolves can't re-sign him because they're a very expensive team right now.
And with Clowney, the ability for him to just finish. He gets the offensive rebound. He's a premier offensive rebounder, but his ability just to finish and put the ball in the hole, finish the job, not get blocked by the rim, not get the ball stripped from you, right? Like just get the rebound. You did the hard part. Now just put it in. It's something like it doesn't seem to be there. Like he can't finish at the rim. It's over and over and over again. Getting the ball slapped away, getting blocked by the rim, missing layups. It's just over and over again. But Pete, let me bring it to you. Would you be interested? Naz Reid said he's going to opt out. Jersey guy is a 5 that can shoot. He's got a lot of value. Would you be interested in bringing Naz Reid here this offseason?
I love him as a player. Love the whole New Jersey thing, but no. There's just too many like question marks. We don't know who we're gonna draft. We still got Claxton under contract, and going back to the cap space, you have to keep in mind that these guys have cap holds. So when we take off the cap holds and it gets replaced with their actual cap number, it's probably going to be a little bit lower. Ben Simmons' $40 million is coming off the books. If Day'Ron and Zaire Williams make more than $40 million, that's a problem.
Well, okay, hang on. Cam Thomas. He's going to make 28, 30?
He's going to take the qualifying offer.
Cam Thomas?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's going to take the qualifying offer.
Why would he do that?
I think it's about 7 or 8 million. I gotta look it up.
Yeah. It's less than 10 for
something
sure.
like that. Yeah. That's if I had to take a guess, that's what I see happening. 100%. You know how Marks is with a CT.
Yeah, but he's a restricted free agent. You don't think anyone's going to offer him a multi-year deal this offseason?
Nobody has cap room.
Only Wizards do, but why would he go to a team like the Wizards? So
they already have Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked.
I guess, yeah. It's hard for me to see Cam Thomas playing his 5th season on making less than 10. I mean, it's possible. It's just like that's hard for me to envision. If he does, great, awesome, that's good for us. But it's just hard for me.
Let's always do the flexibility thing. Think about it. We haven't, he hasn't shown that he loves CT. I could see this happening very easily. I don't want it to happen. I prefer them to re-sign him because I think the longer you wait, the higher the bill's going to be. But
yeah, I actually think this is the perfect. I think this is the perfect. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Go ahead,
I think this is the perfect offseason to sign Cam because there's no one else that can play him. So you can get him cheap. Like, you could probably get him 4 years, $105 million. And like you got it. He's yours.
Think a little low.
Who's gonna offer him more though? You know what I'm saying?
Nobody. But if you're CT, you bet on yourself. You say, you know what? Next year the cap is gonna be open, and I'm gonna get more than $20 million a year. It's a risk.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
If he takes a qualifying offer, it'd be hard for me to see him be in this future long term with the Nets. But at the end of the day, 2026 free agency looks a hell of a lot better than this one does. And whoever we draft, if we get lucky somehow and draft some top tier prospects, it seems like Thomas's future becomes even more expendable. I agree with Gary. Re-sign him this summer, probably a fair $25, $26 million 3-4 year contract. And that's the flexibility where if we ever decide to make a big move, Thomas's contract could be very valuable, but with qualifying offer, I feel like we lose our leverage if we ever want to make any moves because we can't be stuck in the middle. Giving Thomas qualifying offer still keeps us in the damn middle, and he's probably our best asset right now. So Sean Marks would be a fool to not meet Thomas a little bit in the middle and give him a little boost. And I think Thomas would be reckless to say, "Hey, I want $40 million because I played 19 games." No, I feel like both of them need to be adults in the situation, agree to a middle tier number, and let's move forward, and we'll figure out the future stuff. We have to make big moves. I think qualifying offer though is very interesting though, Pete, but I think it'd just be a waste of time for us and for him.
Let me bring Breezy in.
I want him to be re-signed. I want Marks to do it. I'm just looking ahead, and that's what I see happening. CT may want $30 million. There's a lot of guys in this league making $20, $25 million, and CT's a lot better than them. And if I'm him, I'm saying these bums are making $25 million. I need 30.
Yeah, but Pete, look, let's say $105, $110 million deal over a 4-year deal is a little. It's light. It's a team-friendly deal for Cam Thomas. It changes your life for you and your kids day one.
Gary, they treated me like ish. I had a fight, and now I wait 1 more year, and I got to be a free agent, and I can pick where I want to go, and I won't be lowballed.
Agreed, but you're passing up what you did this for. You did this to change the lives of you and your family. 110 million is not as good as 180. I understand, but day one, it changes your life and your kid's life. I don't know if he has kids, but let's say he does. For the rest of their lives, immediately. Your kids never have to work. Right now, sign the contract. You know what I'm saying?
And if he believes in himself, he'll get the same deal next year.
Then do it. Now, I agree with you, Pete. And he obviously, Cam Thomas clearly believes in himself. But I remember saying this about my Mets when they had all the young pitching, right? I said, give them $100 million right now. Of the 4, only one of them ever made more than $100 million. So the other 3, like Matt Harvey and Noah Syndergaard, would have made more money had they taken the long-term short money. What I'm saying is, look, Cam Thomas is probably going to get a bigger deal. But right now, I'm offering to change your life generationally. Your kids never have to work. Sign on the line that started. It's a hard thing to say no to. It's a hard thing to say, but you're right. If he believes in himself, I'll get way more next year, and I don't disagree with that. But
what about this, Gary? What about 2? What about 2 years?
I gotta say something about that. I can't. I gotta say something about that.
I'll wait for you, Breeze.
I mean, I was waiting too, but I don't mean to intervene, but at the end of the day, Cam Thomas has showed the loyalty to the Brooklyn Nets. He's showed many ways. He's played behind KD, Kyrie, Harden. He was here for that whole thing. He's seen 2 bad coaches. Now you got a coach that likes him. He's advocating for him. He's in a situation where he's advocating for Jordy Fernandez. There's a relationship that they're building there. You don't take that from a 1-year head coach. You know, it's not just about Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is a team player. If he wasn't, he could have forced himself out just the way KD, Kyrie, Harden, Mikal Bridges, all four of those guys, they said, I want to go somewhere else. Cam Thomas easily could have did the same thing. And for him not to get
he doesn't have the leverage.
I don't agree with that, because I'm thinking if you don't pay Cam Thomas that and you decide, okay, we're not going to pay him, who are you going to pay? You got to pay somebody. And you're not going to, like, so that means you'll take on a free agent contract, somebody where free agents prove they come to the Brooklyn Nets, they get their contract, and then they leave. Why invest in somebody?
Breezy, that's how you do. You sign into a 1-year deal, and that's it. And that's it.
Nah, why? But like, no. Why? I'm signing him as to the.
I'm telling you how the business works.
But that's bad business. It's bad business. How it is.
You keep the flexibility.
Bro, flexibility for who? Everybody talking about this like they GMs, but flexibility for who? Who do Nets fans value that could be here for and then pay them, and they ain't even do shit. Like, again, KD and Kyrie, they won championships on different teams. How are fans so willing to pay free agents that did whatever they did on different teams? But we seen Cam Thomas do what he did on our team, but we're willing to pay another player that did something on a different team more than we pay a player that got drafted by us and did it for our team. I just think it's a ridiculous notion. I do. I really don't understand that, because it's about
they have rings.
Friends.
They have championships, and they're all-stars or respective players in their own rights.
But that don't mean they're going to work on
Sean Martin. What he's done. This is how he does his business.
Look, even with DeJounte Murray, they was mad that we ain't go for DeJounte Murray. All he needed was this and that. He came to the team. He hurt. He hurt for half the season with the Pelicans. Like, just trying to bank on all these free agents, all of these fans, a lot of these fans, not just Pete, always trying to make it seem like there's so much.
This is not how I feel. This is what I think is going to happen.
Y'all cannot give me a realistic situation. Pete and a lot of other fans can't give me a realistic situation where you know what I'm saying? Say, okay, this is what we're going to have instead of Cam Thomas. A realistic one. Y'all want to say Wemby and Ant-Man. Like, that shit ain't even realistic, bro.
Did you know, by the way, this is not me. This is not Pete saying that he wants this to happen. This is what I think is going to happen, knowing the players involved, knowing the people involved in the situation.
I don't know, man.
And I was going to say, Gary, what about this? How about everyone comes into the middle? 2 years, $20 million a year. He gets his money, and it's a shorter-term deal, and he still gets free agency at a young age. I can see that happening also.
2 years, $20 million per, or 2 years, $20 million total?
$20 million per, so $40 million, or like 20, $25 million, something like that. Basically, shorter years and whatever, he still gets paid. That's the point.
If I was I don't know who his agent is, but if I were his agent, I would say do not sign that contract. If you want to take the, it's 2 years. You've got a little injury history. I would tell you not to touch that contract. I'm not saying he wouldn't. It's not terrible. It's $40 million over 2 years. I would say either take the qualifying offer or take a 4-year deal for $100 million plus. I like. That's like, to me, that's no man's land's contract. Like, it's not terrible. I understand your argument for it, but what if he has 2 injury-plagued seasons and then he gets tagged with, well, the guy's always hurt? You know what I'm saying? Because he's only going to play 30 games this year. He missed a bunch of games last year. He's got this build where, look, he's got these big Mike Tyson legs. Like, this guy's going to pull hamstrings. You know what I'm saying? Like Zion legs. He's got these huge, massive legs. It's like, this guy's got to run and cut. He's going to pull his hamstring.
That's great.
I'm not saying he's going to have – he's not a fat slob like Zion. I'm not saying he's that, right? But I'm saying his legs are huge. His legs aren't made to run and cut on a basketball court and stay with ice tray for 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? He's not built for that. No offense.
Let me tell you why it could work out for both the team and him. It's a shorter-term deal, so if he does get hurt or something happens, he still has $40 million banked in already, and his family's good, right? And the team is protected because it's only 2 years. That's how it could work for both sides.
I get the argument. I get it. I'm just, there's $40 million A lot. That's a lot of money.
It could be more than 40 million. Forget about the number. Forget about the numbers. It's basically a short-term deal with the money that you wanted to give him over 4, but just cut the deal in half, basically.
Breezy, I think you do a better job for Cam Thomas than his agent does. What do you think of this contract?
That's his real agent, Big Cam Brazy.
Me personally, I feel like it should be, like 1 year. It don't have to be even straight out. Like 1 year could be bigger than the other. You know what I'm saying? So you want to pay Cam Thomas big money on the back end, right? He went through a lot of injuries in this season, but you see a lot of upside from Cam Thomas when he was on the basketball court. So maybe that it increases. The first year is the smallest, but the last year is the biggest. So that way it can show teams whether or not they want to invest in him. But I'm not lowballing him. You know what I'm saying? Because I know as soon as he's on the market, teams are going to react to it. Everybody feels like Cam Thomas on anybody's bench, that's a championship contending team. Because who the hell you got starting in front of Cam Thomas? You know what I'm saying? So with Cam Thomas staying here, being the starter, I think he wants that starter role. I don't think he wants to go to a team and come off of the bench. I think he wants big minutes, and I think he wants that the limelight. He's not afraid of the moment. He wants to win games at the Barclays, at the Garden. He wants to be the best team in the city. He shows that he wants to be here, and Sean Marks favors that. Even if you don't like Cam Thomas, that's why he, in my opinion, likes Cam Johnson. He shows that he wants to be here. So that's why I think Cam Thomas should be here and get paid by the Brooklyn Nets. So give him a small contract, give him a 4-year contract. You know what I'm saying? He'd be 26 when he could get his next contract. Give him a 4-year contract. The smallest check is probably the first year, and the biggest check is that last year. I would do something like that.
Would you do the Jalen Green type contract that they did with the Rockets do with him, where there's like an opt-out the 3rd or 4th year if he wants to re-up on bigger money? I think that might be even a better solution because Green, he's been a mixed bag most of his career, and Thomas, as good as he's been, he's also been a mixed bag too, in fairness. So maybe that will be a better, fair deal than just give him a half and half or a 1. Give him a 4-year deal with a 3rd year opt-out, and we'll see where we're at that point, if the Nets are contending or they see him as an actual piece. Yeah, I think that's way more fair for both sides, and I think it works for both parties. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Pete, let me ask you a question.
I'm with you.
Cam Thomas is the best player the Nets have drafted since who?
That's a tough.
Hold on, guys. I got to be right back.
You asking me?
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You said Cam Thomas the best player that Nets drafted.
The Nets have drafted since who?
Brook Lopez.
Okay, all right. So that was 15 years ago. He's the best player you've drafted in 15 years. I didn't even think of Brook. Good one, Breezy. But he's the best player you've drafted since Brook Lopez. That's 15 years ago. Like, keep the man, sign the man, give the man a contract. You've not drafted anyone better than him in 15 years. Keep him.
Yeah, I could argue Jared Allen, but I would say he better than Caris LeVert.
Yeah, but Jared Allen was here for 2.5 years and he was gone.
True. He was there for 4 years. When we was trying to sign him again, you know what I mean? He got traded. Yep.
Was he here for that long? Was he here for 4 years?
For a little bit, but that's the problem with the organization. As much as they preach having Sean Marks as this draft king, it always seems like going back 2013. I actually watched the press when they did that big deal for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Man, Paul Pierce, he didn't even want to be there, man. Like, this Nets problem is they always feel like when they're starting a project well, they're doing good, they want to break it up as soon as they can to go after stars. We've done it twice, and it feels like third time could be the charm. Like, no matter who you draft, it seems like the organization always puts the stars over whoever we draft. And I feel like, then why'd you trade those Suns big backs? Like, I feel like the Nets put themselves even bigger corner where it could go 50-50. We could either draft who we want to draft, if we want to develop, but as soon as the stars available, Cam Thomas has been real see. So I feel like that's what me and Gary try to tell you, Breeze, is like, as much as Thomas has done good, I feel like the organization always has their eyes on what their old playbook is. I don't see a new playbook right now. I feel like we're in the middle until we have to make a decision. I feel like we should have just bought him out this year and done things a little more organically. I feel like that's the problem this year, is that this isn't organic. This is relying on Jordy to be the end-all, be-all solution. But drafting decent talent over great talent is two different things,
I mean, we'll see. It's hard to say who we're going to draft, and it's hard to say that the talent is going to be just decent. I'm hearing a lot of good things about these players we may draft or even may not draft. So, y'all know me, man. I'm going to be optimistic. But that being said, ultimately, I think we need a shot creator. We need a shot creator, and if we could get an inside outside game, a player that could play with their back to the basket. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a route that we would want to go. But as you can see, anytime we had a Cam Thomas next to anybody in the backcourt, we had one of the better backcourts, whether it be Schroeder or whoever. And D'Lo next to Cam Thomas is dangerous, man. And again, what I will agree to is that this team is unpredictable. I do not know what they're gonna do. Like, I have no idea.
Definitely unpredictable.
Well, I'll bring this both of you guys. So I agree. Breezy says we need another shot creator. Clearly, we need another shot creator next to Cam. If we're drafting outside of the top 3, who is that? Is that Trey Johnson? Is it VJ? Who is it that could be that shot creator if we draft outside of the Cooper Flag and the Rutgers guys?
I say Derek Queen, Jaeger, the men. Those are the two that I hear more about than anything. And maybe Johnny Broom might be somebody we're looking for. He might be, far back in the draft, that we could acquire him. But those are the 3 players that I can think of offhand. You know what I'm saying? But I do want somebody in the paint. I want the Brooklyn Nets. I want Jordi Fernandez to have a big man he could go to and get a ball. Find an inside-outside game. Like, I think that's essential. A shot creator, and that's why I got Derek Queen. That's one of the number 1 guys I think we should go after. Because to keep it real with you, I agree with Leaf. I want the top 3 pick. I don't know how certain that is. And I don't think that Derek Queen is going to be a top 3 pick. I think he's a top 10 pick. And I do think that we can get a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think the top 3 are written in stone. And I don't know what order yet, but I think, we know who's going to be the first 3 guys in some order, some permutation was coming up the board in the top 3. I feel like we know that. But John, same question to you. Would you agree with Breezy that we need a shot creator? And if so, who would that be?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I even think, like, as great as top 3 is, I feel like top 6, if someone got top 6, I feel like there's some really good options to consider. I look at it being a 3-way race between VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, and I think Jeremiah Fears. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Fears. I call him the lightning bolt because he literally came out of nowhere and really climbed up the ladders very quickly. And I feel like either one of those 3 could be an interesting project near Cam Thomas. I think Edgecombe, a lot of people just look at the inconsistencies, but he's been putting it together lately. Defensively, offensively, I feel like he has levels to go, and I feel like the athleticism he possesses could be otherworldly. But we look at Trey Johnson, pure bucket scores. So I think getting either one of those 2 with the 4th or 5th pick would be beneficial to us. The 6th pick, if we get it, I think it could be between maybe Fierce or Derek Queen, depending on who would be a better balance next to whoever's on this team. So I feel like those four I would say would be our next interesting choices if we miss out on top 3. But for me, I would say Edgecombe and Trey Johnson would be right at the top after the top 3 for sure.
And I want to touch saying Edgecombe with Cam Thomas or Trey Johnson with Cam Thomas wouldn't work. We're not worried about that yet. We're not worried about fit yet, right? It's just acquiring the best player possible. And then once we have that embarrassment of riches, then we can address fit. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% here on that, yes.
If we don't draft BJ Edgecombe, which I'm not in favor of, but if we don't draft BJ Edgecombe, I don't want the reason to be he doesn't work with Cam Thomas. Or if we pass on Trey Johnson, it's like, he doesn't fit with Cam Thomas. Like, our roster is garbage. I mean, we're talking about fit. Like, nothing.
It's a good squad. No, but I agree. It should be best fit, and I think Edgecombe and Johnson should be the next 2 after Cooper, Ace, and Harper for sure. And I think Queen and Jaeger could be other options to follow, and Fears. I think either one of those 5 after the 3 would be great for us. It just depends where we fall. I feel like our pick could be anywhere from 1 to 14 right now. It really could be. I feel like the organization put us in the worst position possible, being in the middle. Whereas you could just been bottom this year, you at least guaranteed a shot in the top 5. Now that's not even on the table for us at this point. We're literally going by luck and our economic equity, hopefully giving us some type of decent pick. Whereas we could have just done the work the right way. But this organization, like Breezy says, is unpredictable and likes to do things backwards as opposed to just doing things a lot easier.
Well, I want to address this, John, because we could pick anywhere from 1 to 14, and it's true. And I got to do it. We got to get into the tank to tank or not to tank. That is the question. The Nets 21-36. They're just a game and a half. Game and a half out of the play-in, which Chicago holds right now. Chicago somehow winning games, but they do look like they sold. They're sellers. Can they hold on to that spot? Well, Breezy, I'll slow you. To tank or not to tank? Do we try to get that play-in spot? Or I mean, look, realistically, we could bring back D'Lo at the 1, Cam at the 2, Cam Johnson at the 3, Noah Clowney at the 4, and then have Claxton at the 5 with Sharp and Zaire and a bunch of guys off the bench. Which, like, if we really wanted to win games, we could win games with that lineup. So
no, that's a fact. That's a fact. I think a healthy Brooklyn Nets is a play-in playoff team, honestly. But do I think we should do that? It should be nah, man. Get one of these players out the draft. We got our own pick. Use it. Use that 2025 pick. Use that 2026 pick, and then in that third season, compete. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long while to say that. And to be honest, I'm somebody you should think that I'm 100% like that. Because if we start winning, I'm gonna say, yeah, fuck the tank. Pardon my language, but I'm just being honest. Like, I want to see us win. And I didn't know that Jody Fernandez could do all he's doing without talent, quote unquote talent. But it shows how good a team. Just let's look at the numbers. Let's just talk numbers. It shows that we one top 5 on defense, but when it comes down to scoring the ball without Cam Thomas, it's a tall ask.
You know what I'm saying? We barely score 100 points. The league's scoring 115. We're scoring 97. It's tough. It's yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta get a shot creator out the draft, because if you get a free agent that's a shot creator, you gotta pay him.
Well, what about via free agency? Why do we have to act like a budget team? Why do we have to act like the Utah Jazz or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Indiana Pacers? Why do we have to act budget? Why can't we just go get one? We play in the biggest market in the country.
It's about fit because of the culture that Jody Fernandez is building. And to y'all point earlier that I did add to is Naz Reid. You know, he's a Jersey guy. He would help the culture. He's somebody that's fan favorite already. He was definitely on the radar for the Brooklyn Nets fans last season. Then we seen the Wolves. They didn't waste no time. As soon as they could have signed Naz Reid, they did it. You know, if Naz Reid on this team, if he could start at the 4 and you want to continue to develop Noah Clowney and you got Noah Clowney behind the Naz Reid at the 4 position, I'm rocking. You know what I'm saying? I'm rocking. And that's not even a draft pick. So, yeah, that's the one free agent that I would say get. And then other than that, I would say get – but I would consider Naz Reid a quote-unquote shot creator. You know what I'm saying? I think he has a lot of intangibles, and you can't leave him open behind the arc. And he's got high IQ. He could put the ball on the floor and off a pump fake and get to the rim. So I just think he would be a great addition. And I honestly think it would speed up the rebuild, quote unquote rebuild. But no, Gary, I want us to get a good play out the lottery, man. I don't. We did too much, you know what I'm saying? Like we 21 wins. If we had 36 wins, I'd be like, yo, F the tank, but we got 21 wins, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, stay the course. You know, it gets tough sometimes to stay the course, but you know, I think we did a lot of due diligence. Gary, what we 57 games in? Come on, man, that's 25 games, man. We gotta hold it down. We got 25 more games.
Look, here's my pushback on that, Breezy. You're a Jordy fan. I'm a Jordy fan. I think every net fan in the sound of my voice appreciates Jordy Fernandez. He didn't take this job to tank, right? He took this job with Bridges and the idea that they may go after a second borderline all-star player. There were names out there, Colin Sexton. There were other names out there that the Nets may pursue. Spider was obviously one. But my point was, Jordy didn't take this job to tank. He didn't take this job to lose. They traded Bridges, and that changed their direction. What makes you think Jordy wants to tank?
No, I don't think he wants to tank at all.
Then we're not tanking then. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but at the end of the day, to your point, 97 points is 97 points. If the league average is 115 points, yeah, you could play hella defense. And I've seen it. We all seen it. We did the 3 stops in a row, but damn, now we can't score. Like we stopping them, but we can't score neither. So it's like, You know what I'm saying? If being a catch and shoot team, and especially in the playoffs, it's easy for a team to collapse on the defense, to collapse on the offense. It's like, look, they can't put the ball on the floor. They ain't got no shot creation. You play the same team 4 times in a row, you're going to lose those playoffs, in my opinion, without a shot creator. Because you got to win the game, not only with X's and O's. And the coaches need these players to be superstars sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like I always will reference Steve Nash hugging KD. He didn't hug KD because, I don't know, he watched his dog while he was away from home. He hugged KD because there's no way he coached that. Steve Nash drew something up in the huddle. KD did the total opposite. And that's why when he came to the bench, he hugged KD like, yo, thank you, man. I know I didn't say go out there and do what you did, but I needed you to do exactly what you did. So I thank you. And he hugged him the way he did. I never seen a coach do that, man, in a playoff game. So I think we need that shot creation. Ain't no ducking that, because we 29th in offense, 30th in offense. We need another shot creator, bro. We need at least, I think we need 2, but I'm just saying we at least need 1.
Well, we also need Cam Thomas back. Like, if we had that lineup, D'Lo, Cam Thomas, Noah Clowney, we're not 29th in offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're better than that. We can run a big boy offense, right? It would be a different look if our guys were healthy. You know, what Jordy is doing with this roster, with guys like Tyrese Martin and Jalen Wilson, who are borderline NBA players, to say the least. Like, to be generous, they're borderline NBA players. It's really, amazing. Like, to me, and I'll get you guys taking this, just Jordy Fernandez. I know their record's not great, but does he have an argument for Coach of the Year? John?
I'm in all fairness, if you're winning a superpower winning team, you deserve to be in those conversations. But I even said if he gets 1 vote from somebody, I think he earned it. I think what Jordy's done this season to take away, like I said on Breeze Show last night, he established defensive identity, what it means to actually have pride in your team, intangibles. He takes weight training seriously. He takes actually regiment seriously. I don't want to say he's like a military sergeant, but he takes the fundamentals, the discipline of what it means to be a good team very seriously. And I feel like if you have the right pieces around Jordy, we could be a serious team in a few years. But I would agree with Breeze's point. Bringing a guy who doesn't want to tank, when you trade away a lot of valuable assets to get your own picks back, the strategy really is screwy, because we really haven't tanked this year. As much as the numbers look bad because we don't have the talent, we weren't tanking. We're trying to win as much games as possible. And there's still 20 games to go. If Thomas, D'Lo, and Clowney come back soon, a game and a half behind the Bulls, we could be in that playing spot just because Jordy wants to win any game that is winnable. And we have to deal with the consequences at that point. So if that happens, it happens. But I would say this, Miami and Hawks, we potentially could face a play-in. They look and go, hey, listen, do we really want to get our asses embarrassed by Cavs, Boston? Let's give it to the Nets. They get the 15th pick. We get, a shot in a top lottery pick. That's a nightmare scenario. That's a nightmare scenario. On the
season when Jalen Johnson got hurt. They did, right? Like, the other teams, Miami sold that they got rid of Butler. These aren't teams that are looking to win a championship this year, right?
Right.
I don't know if they get into the play-in. I'm not saying they lay down for the Nets, but like, are they going all in to win? Probably not either. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. So if the Nets got into the play-in, it's not unrealistic to suggest that they beat 2 teams who don't want to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's not crazy.
It's scary, and it would be horrible, and we essentially would have given the Rockets a free shot at a championship for nothing. And that's why I think Sean and Joe probably should leave at that point, because you can't escape from that. You can't say, oh, I drafted the 10th pick, but hey, Rockets, they won a title because of the stupid move you made.
Well, John, Billy King got the Celtics a championship. Isn't it only fair that Marks gets the Rockets a championship? Isn't it only fair?
That's the disgusting thing. We have done more help to other teams than our own team. That's why people like me, Gary, are very upset with this organization, because they've taken such a laissez-faire attitude this whole season. And trading Dennis and Doe for potato chips and dealer jerseys is not good work. They didn't do good work at this trade deadline. I'm trying to justify it. You could say Scam Johnson is a leader because you gave him $90 million. That doesn't justify the horrible moves you've made, and you can't justify if we don't get a top pick this year.
No, there's not a Nets fan in the sound of my voice besides BK who wanted Cam Johnson to be here on day one, especially the deadline. So, Breeze, let me bring the question to you. You like Jordy. Does Jordy have a good argument for Coach of the Year? Does he have an argument there?
Depending on how you critique it. I mean, he got the most challenges and the most challenges won. I do think he gets some votes, but ultimately, I think head coaching is about team success. It's hard to say that he's better than Kenny Atkinson. I think Kenny Atkinson gets it. You know what I'm saying? For what it's worth. I think, him being the head coach, he was assistant coach for 5 years. And then he comes to the Cavaliers and he has a better record in the Eastern Conference than the championship Boston Celtics. It's hard to say they're going to look over Kenny Atkinson and give it to Jordi Fernandez. Do I think they consider him and they talk about it? Is he in those conversations? Yes. But to when he's in those conversations, I think they feel the same way I feel. Like, he might be great, but it's hard to give it to him over Kenny Atkinson and what the Cavs are doing right now, because they're looking like shit. They're looking like a contender for real. And I'm not saying that they weren't before, but it's something different about this team, man. They playing with way more vigor or something, because Kenny Atkinson, and we've seen him coach, so I recognize some of the stuff that Kenny Atkinson is doing. But to answer your question, I think he's an honorable mention, Gary.
Fair enough.
He's an honorable mention.
Very fair.
All right. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I appreciate everyone hopping on. John, Breezy, Pete, who had to leave us early. Breezy, give us one more shout out for your podcast when we can find you.
Y'all can find me on Big Fan Breezy on YouTube or Twitter, and I'll probably be in the chat on this page. But yeah, that's why I do content. Pull up, subscribe, man. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to this page. Subscribe to my page. You know what I mean? I'm trying to build a fan base. And while I got y'all here, I gotta let y'all know, and this don't necessarily involve y'all, but I do a Knick fan, Net fan game. Recently, some Knick fans called me out to play basketball. We do it like in the summertime. So if you guys are down to Nets fans, y'all want to, galvanize and go versus these Knick fans in a basketball game, pull up. That's an open welcome to John, Gary, every Net fan that I know. So, besides that, man, just y'all catch me on Big Fan Breezy, man.
Great job, Breezy. Appreciate you. John, where can we find you?
Gary, Breezy, and Pete, great show, guys. We definitely crush it when we come together with our great ideas. If you guys ever want to talk basketball, you can find me on Twitter at OS91413 John. Yeah, we're in the last stretch of the season. It's an unpredictable roller coaster ride, but this is what being a Brooklyn fan is. It's not an easy job. You got to deal with the highs, you got to deal with a lot of the lows, and a little bit in between. But that's why we come on here and enjoy it. Win, lose, or draw, we here. And I look forward to seeing what we do on draft day, and I hope the Brooklyn fans get something to celebrate. This is our first ever lottery pick in Brooklyn history. So regardless of who we draft, that is your first ever lottery pick, and I hope it's somebody that wants to be here long term and wants to bring Brooklyn culture and the future in a positive direction. So it'll be interesting to see how that all transpires. But I think this is going to be a very interesting and busy summer for Brooklyn Nets, and for us content creators, that's a good summer to be a part of. So let's enjoy it.
It's a lottery pick for now, John. It's a lottery pick for now.
Right. I'm trying to be a little positive, even though we're in a shit situation. So yeah.
All right. Tomorrow I'm going to upload some content. I recorded with Nate on the state of the Nets, so I'll have that for you tomorrow. And then John, so that'll be Thursday. Me and you are back at it after the OKC.
I'm gonna be busy Thursday, but I'll definitely be here for Saturday. We'll do Saturday, which is after the Portland game, right? We'll do Saturday.
All right. Cool. All right. I appreciate y'all. It's February 25th, 2025 from the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Peace.
God bless.